biggest queef?
Curators probably.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, I was not going to say queef.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's my biggest queef too.
I meant qualm. Correction.
Yeah.
Qualm.
Are you guys ready?
Ready?
Yep.
Set.
Go.
And.
Go.
Are you guys ready?
Ready? Go.
Okay, go.
Go.
Hey guys, this is Waiting to Dry. Today we have a guest host, my wife, MJ Lindo.
Hello.
And then our guest today is Felicia. What is your last name?
It's Felicia Gabaldon.
You gotta get closer to the mic. Sorry.
Felicia Gabaldon.
There you go. Boom. So yeah, Felicia. I'm just kidding. Felicia.
You
Felicia.
can call me Felicia.
No,
I only do that, to make it easy for people to understand how to say something in Spanish.
So we mainly did this podcast so that people would stop telling us to have more girls on the show. So
we got one, guys.
This buys us like 3 months. I'm just kidding. We have more girls coming, but
that's what she.
Don't. Also, heads up, guys. This podcast is a joke-free podcast.
No,
we do not condone anything we say.
We had a critique a couple weeks back by someone who shall remain nameless, but might be the guest on our podcast right now. Just a clue for all you detectives out there. And she said, I quote, in a very drunk voice, "You guys need to be much more serious and ask the hard questions."
Hard-hitting.
Felicia, what do you think about Putin? I was just fucking around.
Politics are not allowed
Okay.
on podcasts ever, unless it's called the most unpolitically correct podcast.
That is such a bad joke. Sorry, guys. We're gonna have to get used to that the bad jokeness. We are slightly drunk. It is a Sunday.
Sunday fun day.
1 o'clock, I think. We're here at Sandrine's spot. She's the random Berkeley professor who listens to our podcast. Who I have no idea why, because we just ramble on about who knows what. But we're here. We just had a brunch with artsy fartsies such as ourselves.
You can follow us at MJ Lindo on Instagram. Joshua Lawyer. They got combined maybe 2 million followers. I've got 4. Not even yet.
4 million?
Actually, 3,431. I think.
Felicia's I got 4.
Follow me.
Shout out to my mom and dad and the other 2 randoms that found me. But yeah, we go pretty far back, right, Felicia? I don't know how many years we've known each other.
You've only known my name for maybe a year.
Boom.
But we've been showing at Irene's since 2011.
Yeah.
Together.
That's crazy.
So anyone out there hoping I learn your name, just know me for 7 years. and your
Don't
wish
hate.
might happen. I'm sure there's a bunch of other people I don't know still. I just learned Doug's name too. Sorry, Doug. I'm so bad at names. I'm horrible at names.
All right.
I really do have
if I didn't like your art, I wouldn't know your name either. I'd be hashtag almost famous. Don't know his name. Shout out Monty Guy.
Sorry, guys. We had to do a quick mic adjustment. Some of us haven't done this before.
Sorry, I'm distracted by Felicia's feet right now because I was told she's a foot model.
I am, and
Aspiring.
I do need to get my toenails painted though, but I'm hella broke. Well,
Felicia, stop dodging the mic. Felicia's like this.
I'm hella broke. I don't want everybody to know I'm hella broke on the podcast. Then be like, I don't want to buy her paintings.
What you got to do is start promoting yourself as a foot model.
I know. It's been a long time dream.
Well, this podcast is getting away from me, guys. I apologize.
All right, let's
back on track.
Hit it home. What you got? What's your next question?
Interview. Come on. Let's keep it moving. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who's familiar with Felicia's work or not, but she.
That sounded like a backhanded compliment.
I don't know if anyone even knows Felicia, but if you're the 4 people that do,
who don't remember her name after 8 years.
But yeah, so Felicia, you paint like a lot of like, I don't know, it's kind of like
what would you call it, Josh?
Like Native American folk art with like a somewhat of a modern twist to it. There's a lot of like animals that are like very stylized with like fades and you have like
I get my Asian lady down the barber shop. She does their fades.
She's high on the back.
Yeah.
But you need to stop joking. This is a dead serious podcast.
Right. Did you tell everyone I'm wearing white pants? Don't edit that up.
Okay. If ever you guys are also wondering what the really loud sound is that burst into your ears, kind of like laughter, but more
like a cackle,
almost like she's punching you with her laughs. That is Felicia.
Yeah, people used to follow me down the street sometimes in college and just do it, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?" And they'd be like, "Yo, I met you last night. I bought you a Corona," and I'd be like, "Bitch, be regular."
You're talking to the mic, Felicia.
I'm not. Or I am.
Like this.
I know. I told you I move when I talk.
I know. I'm gonna keep trying to hone you back in.
You should have just put me in like a little straight jacket.
Yeah, probably.
All right, going back to the animals and the paintings. Since we being serious.
Yeah. That's what you critiqued.
In serio.
First of all, we're not even being that serious. And
I know.
You critiqued me and you said, you need to tell the people about Jarda's story. And I'm like, so you paint and you're like, tell them about my white pants.
All right. Fuck the pants. Okay. So.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So you're from like, so first of all, you're Native American.
Yes.
Did you grow up in like that culture pretty heavily?
Unfortunately, no. My mother died when I was 10, and she had 4 kids by the time she was 29, and we were poor as fuck, and nobody liked each other. So basically, after she died, I didn't really meet my family. Mm-hmm. I started living on my own when I was 14.
Damn.
And my grandpa abandoned my grandma, who was my native side of the family. So I didn't grow up on a reservation. Huh. But I grew up in New Mexico, around, obviously, a ton of Native Americans. Right. Like, the whole population is either Native American, Mexican indigenous, or, like, some white-up, washed-out
pale-facer.
Pale-facers who moved from New York, Cali, and retired, and you got these white kids are like, I'm 2nd generation New Mexican. You're like, what the fuck does that mean, fool? You're just white. Fuck your couch. Anywho.
No diss to white people out there.
We love all you white Anglo-Saxons. Especially.
I feel like that was sarcastic, but I do. Well,
sarcasm is my middle name.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. Well, I Googled it.
It's a nickname. Okay?
Okay.
So, yeah. Native American, Spanish, Mexican.
Damn, so are you close with your family? Like your brothers and sisters?
Unfortunately, no. The 2 younger ones moved away and didn't see them until I was 18. And now they're all fucked up. Damn. Meth head, crackheads, weirdos. Older brother is the closest one to me. We share the same mom and father. Uh-huh. So naturally, somehow we're closer. I don't know why we're closer. But yeah, I don't really talk to my family.
Huh, that's crazy. So when you grew up in New Mexico, who were you living with?
When I was 14, I started living on my own.
Oh, like full on your own.
Yeah.
Emancipated?
I didn't get emancipated. The court wouldn't let me because my dad was in and out of prison. And they kept being like, bitch, go back with your dad. Because they always do that. They're like, go with your parents. And I had some aunts and some uncles trying to take me, but like, I'm really glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Because they were horrible people. So they never came to check on me again.
Were you
so
like,
I was like, I'm just out. And I met this girl at IHOP that I worked with. It was 23. And I was like, I need somewhere to live.
okay.
And she was like, I got an extra room.
Damn. At 14, you were...
$100 a month. We'll see how it works out. Let's see if you're a good kid. She knew I was.
Right.
So I paid her $150 a month until I was 18 from 14. And I just lived there. And all the teachers and principals at the high school were like, shh, don't tell nobody Felicia isn't emancipated.
That's crazy. How did you get a job at 14? Was it a full-time job?
I knew somebody who knew somebody.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah.
IHOP
he used to fucking pack blunts in the walk-in, though. And I'd be like, yeah, what's your order? You need them extra salsa?
Damn.
That's cool.
So what time did you move to the Bay Area?
I moved here in end of 2011.
Oh, so like right when we met around the time you moved here?
I remember that.
I didn't start showing. Me and Talopa and Monty and Renee, I think. Talopa curated a show at the Old Wonderland. And we did a show there, I think, and my girl Maddie, who I knew. So there's like maybe 5-6 of us. And you ran and let Chalupa, whatever you want to call him.
Bel
Grande. Curate the show. So that was my first
inside jokes that no one's gonna get.
I know. We gotta call out Renee Castro for that. She calls him Chalupa Batman. So that was the first show I did, in particular in the Bay Area.
So Talopa curated that one?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Talopa, for the invite. That's cool. Cool.
I don't think he knew you or remembered
he did.
you. He probably wanted to paint your wife and put her on a shelf. Maybe take her on bar. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure I knew Talopa before I knew you.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
So he knew me. So
yeah. But he might not have remembered your name
I'm just
for
kidding.
like 7 years.
I'm being sarcastic. I'm being you. I don't actually care that he didn't invite me. It's cool. No, it's cool.
Before you started showing in the Bay Area, were you showing in New Mexico though?
To be honest, no.
No, please don't be honest.
I can only speak the truth, Josh.
Oh, okay. My bad.
You know that about me. The shit just it's like spewing truth. Like
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I mean I showed in college and I showed at a few places before I left, but in college it was interesting because I always felt a little bit oppressed by my teachers and the things that I was learning because I didn't go to like a real art school. I just went to like run of the mill like art university public. It was free. And there wasn't a lot of direction. There were a lot of really shitty teachers. And everyone kept telling me that my art had to be political. And I was like, I got really confused by that because I was very directed. Like, people wanted me to paint, like, hyperrealism. And I was painting... I don't know if you guys know who Wangichi Mutu is. She does these amazing, like, collages that are... You can't differentiate the collage from her actual graphic, like, paintings. And... I got really inspired by her and like Sylvia, not Sylvia. God damn it, the woman that does the really bruised looking. She uses a stick and a brush. They're huge. It's not Sylvia G because she's the one that paints and appropriates. But what's her name? I had this on my list to tell you guys because
I have no help. Can't help you at all.
I know. Well, anyway. She paints these huge, like, very kind of bruised, grotesque, hyper-realism paintings of women. Or it doesn't have to be women. But I was really inspired by that at the time. And my teacher, Mr. Bouchy, I think I was telling you guys earlier, he could paint like little tiny paintings of people's eyeballs with reflections in them that were so real. Like they looked like a photograph. Mm-hmm. And so he got mad at me when I told him I wanted to do like a mix of collage and like try to incorporate the figurative work. Mm-hmm. And he was like, why don't you just paint this? And I was like, well, I'm trying to make a statement about like collaging and like contemporary and like this bullshit culture that we have. Mm-hmm. But he didn't get it. And he was like, just paint the collage. Make the collage, paint the collage. I'm like, that's defeating the purpose. It's like one time I asked him what the difference between drawing and painting was, and he was like, there is no difference. They're the same. And he hated to teach drawing classes because he was like, just learn how to paint. Yeah. It drove me wild because I was like, I'm trying to make a statement on like contemporary capitalism, and like, you know, it was way too political for him.
But I thought you were pushing against the
Well, that was original. That's what you were asking me about, my original artwork. So originally I was doing like this hyper huge, like I was painting 6 feet by 6 feet oil paintings of like really abstract kind of weird stuff that I wasn't trying to be a feminist, but like I told you, I had a teacher one time that told me art should always be political. Mm-hmm. And that actually kind of broke my spirit. Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with that. I was
MJ went through the same thing.
But I wasn't even 18 years old yet. I'm like, I can't vote. Yeah. And I've been doing this shit my whole life. I've been running it. I'm an adult. Fuck you guys.
That's just a weird critique in general. If someone's like, you have to paint, it's like, you don't have to.
I don't have to be Diego Rivera.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, like, don't tell me what to paint.
Yeah.
So it threw me for a whirlwind. I went from like hyperrealism, like really abstract, kind of like oil paintings of women that were huge, and then I went really abstract. And then I had a teacher that told me one time when I was watching, she was showing us all this art. I can't remember her name right now, but it was all abstract. And in the middle of the critique, I was so bored and annoyed. And so I asked her, I was like, the fuck? I was like, anyone could do this shit. And this was the best advice I've ever had from a teacher who I adored, who they say those who can't do art fail, but I think she was the better half. She did well. Mm-hmm. But she said, Felicia, what's your critique? I was like, I could do that, bitch. And she was like, actually, you can't because it wasn't your idea. And I was like, oh. Once the idea's out there, it's out there. And if it's not your idea, you didn't do it. So you can't hate that hard on someone who's making money doing something you didn't come up with.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that.
How?
I mean, you can hate on whatever you want to hate on. It's like...
Well, yeah, we all have our own opinions, but are you... It wasn't your idea, and just because someone did something better than you think you could do or might be able to do...
What I'm saying is, like, the excuse of, it's this is my original thing I created, doesn't mean I have to validate that I actually like it, or that I think it's good. I could agree.
Do you mean like, as an artist, though, or as a viewer?
As a viewer. Well,
as a viewer, that makes sense. But as an artist, I feel like some of us stand behind the idea that, like, that might suck and I could do it too. But the problem is you didn't do it and someone else is killing it.
Right. But that applies to everything in life, right? Because it's like each person is their own original story. There might be some similarities in how things happen, but don't you think that in general, everyone's doing their, like, no one's sitting in this couch right now at this very second, this is my original move. Do I get to say now that's something special? I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know if it validates the artwork. At least to me, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I just thought the epiphany was, like, she shut me down because I was talking hella shit.
Well, I like
And
that
then
part. See,
she-
that's my favorite part of the story. I'm like, yeah, talk that shit.
So she shut me down and was like, because I was like, I can do this. And she said, but you didn't.
Right.
And that was like a rude
Well,
awakening
I do
for
agree with
me.
that.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, all of a sudden, I now have to realize I need to reel my shit in and be a humble artist and respect people and be inspired, but not assume that just because I see
But-
something that looks so easy that I could actually do it.
See, that's the thing I have an issue with. Because to me, it's like, I agree that like someone doing something original, to me, that really gets me hyped. I'm like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
hella dope. But if it's something like original, then I'm like, it's not even like that. It's original in the fact that it's a motion that hasn't been done. Like it's like
Right.
this painting hasn't been created before. Correct.
Yeah.
But if it's like, there's no like thought process behind that originality. It's not like like if I go at a painting every day and I just like blindfold myself and just fucking move a paintbrush every day to a painting, every time I will create something original. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I should be validated and get patted on the back for it being an original creation. Correct, it is that, but I enjoy the thought process behind the creation. So if I don't see the thought process or even the skill level, those two things are also very important to me. Like the decision-making parts of the painting, I find to be very important. The initial original idea, a lot of times I'll go like, oh, that's a dope idea.
Right.
But then after that, all the other critiques follow that. if
Well,
that
I
makes any
have
sense.
a question for both of you,
How dare you.
technically.
Go ahead.
Because my process as an artist is I have an idea. Like, say it's a coyote, it's a person.
Right.
That's all I start with. It's just like 2 deers. Okay, bam, draw them out. One's going to have skeletons, one's not. I don't know. I never pick out my paint. I never mix paint regularly. I definitely am not an oil painter anymore, so I don't do like underpaintings or,
Right.
nothing. I just draw it out on wood and I lay it down.
Okay.
And I just, like, every step is a kind of a guessing game.
Uh-huh.
I don't even think about, like, the borders or anything that I do. Like,
Right.
nothing. There's nothing planned out other than, like, I'm going to paint 2 deers and do this.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm going to paint a woman.
Right. So what's the question? I didn't know what the question
My
is.
question is how I feel like, I used to do oil, so I know that for you guys, like, there's a plan and a process, and you have to, like, do the underpaintings, or maybe you don't, but do you mix colors? Are you like Leon, who has, like, tons of paint already mixed and ready to go?
No. I mean, for
Or are
me,
you always eyeballing it?
I have like, I would say like, I have the reference photo that I'm going to use in paint, and then I think about how I want to attack that problem with the idea that there are very important parts of the painting that I need to try to accomplish really well, and that's planned out. And then there's probably maybe like 30% of my painting that is like, now let's play around a little bit and have some fun with it. And that's kind of like sounds more similar to your process, where it's like the enjoyment of like the exploration of seeing how this painting can turn out and playing around with, and just like almost letting like your natural ability to go towards a certain aesthetic be built up through just like exploration. But for me, there are definitely very important parts of the painting that I need to make sure are conveyed, or I think are conveyed in the painting. And those things usually I'm very critical about and very particular about how I tackle those problems. I don't know if you...
No, I feel like my process goes a little bit like longer than yours, because it's like I have I
How
have
dare
the
you, by the
idea. Well, it's just like more steps. Like I have the idea as far as like the photograph, then we go shoot the model. I have the reference, then I draw the image, add whatever I'm adding to the painting that is not in the reference, like if I'm adding some sort of like magical element or whatever. And then I transfer that Then I transfer it to my panel, which is a whole thing. Then I prep the panel. So there's just
Right.
like all these
Yeah.
like crazy steps that are very like methodical.
Yeah, because you draw it out on paper and then transfer it. Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
there's
I
just
don't
like
do
a
that
lot
either.
of
I hate
steps.
retracing things.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, she
I hate
draws it
sketchbooks,
out and then
I
she
hate
uses like
sketchbooks.
a light box to like
to transfer the
it.
image.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is like for me the backgrounds are always just like
That's
a
your
free for
hard-
all. Yeah, I just have no idea what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
Like almost every time, which is either make or break the painting.
Oh, I've had those. But I just sold one, and I'm so excited because
Hell yeah.
I've had it for so many years, and I thought I fucked it up. And this dude is buying it, and I'm like, yes, bitch.
Well,
Get
well, you might
out.
like you might be
Take it away.
you might be right, but that doesn't mean like the last shit we just had a show and
The last shit.
the last shit I took. The last show, me and MJ, we just had a show at
Yeah.
Wonderland, and there's a
Shout out
painting.
Irene.
There-
Irene.
There's a painting on there that I knew people were gonna really like, but I hate it, and it's because I know there's parts of it that I messed up,
Yeah.
and so in my head I'm like, I don't really like this painting because of the
I know.
mistakes, but that I already know that people are gonna look at it and enjoy it, and they're not even gonna see the mistakes I see.
Are you sure you don't want to edit this out?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with
Because
letting
they're
people
gonna be
know.
like, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't sold yet, and
Lay away.
I don't think the people that if someone buys that painting, I don't think they'll even care.
Which one
about
was it?
I don't want to say now.
Wait. Because you said I don't want to say. Do you guys remember? We're gonna
You still have
talk
to get close
about
to the mic.
SNL. I think it's SNL where his name is I don't want to say.
Stewart.
I don't want to say.
That's
Mad TV.
Mad TV. No one remembers Mad TV. That's fucking bullshit.
I fucking love
He's
Will
like,
Sasso.
no, Mama said, what does say? What does Mama say?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, frozen fudgicles look like frozen poo-poo.
Right.
Please edit that out.
I don't know how we got to Stewart.
Okay.
What is this about?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought I heard what we were talking
It
about.
did, but
Oh, with the I don't want to say because my
Yeah.
painting. Okay, now I see the connection. I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? Okay, yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I was Stewart for a bit there. Nice.
You did a little stew.
Yeah. Little stew poo. But yeah, so what made you move to San Francisco in the first place?
So growing up in New Mexico, Santa Fe in particular, most New Mexican.
Wait, can I guess real quick? Were you a part of like a group of people that made blue meth and
No, I did not work on the movie or TV show.
No, I didn't say did you work. I said did you live that life?
There is actually a lot less meth than you would think in New Mexico. They made us look really bad. Just
Well, you
like
did just say that you had
bad boys, what you going
And Felicia
to?
was bald and would wear a hat when I first met
Yeah.
her. So
I was not
that's-
bald.
Yeah.
Did you just say I
you
was
Walt-
bald?
are you
MJ?
Walter White?
You're throwing shade. Oh my god, this is not going
Hey,
to
bald is
fare
in.
well.
Bald is in right now.
Bald
How
is
am
beautiful.
I bald?
No, never mind.
I mean, I am Native American, yes, and I have like almost no body hair, but like
So-
I am definitely not bald.
So why did you?
Everybody should know that. Hashtag not bald.
Move? She wants you to know that, guys. Also, white pants, salmon shirt, hipster
Whore, not.
glasses. Wait, what?
In New Mexico, we call everyone a whore. It's just a thing.
Okay. It's like a,
My ex used to actually get really embarrassed because he was like 6'4" and like hella white. And my great grandma met him and she was like, "Is your boyfriend Anglo?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "When are you going to date someone who speaks Spanish?" And I was like, I don't know.
but yeah. So sorry, we got.
Let's
off
get
track.
back to our, right?
Why did you move to San Francisco?
Okay.
I was asking before we got on that
Yes,
random.
because growing up in New Mexico, I decided to stop hanging out with all the break dancers and the kids that I grew up in the projects with.
Break dancers.
Well, I was a breakdancer. I was in a crew. It was called Fresh.
That's cool.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
No, I like it. That's
No,
so
I
cool.
was.
MJ was too.
No, I could
You
do
guys are both
flares.
losers. Go on.
I could do flares. I had all these Adidas with these double checkered fucking laces.
That is so
Shit was
cool.
dope. But
Yeah, it's super cool, guys.
I
Super
just,
cool. Keep
when
going.
I started living on my own, I realized that all these kids were hood and they were crazy. So I was like, you know what? I just met some white people. They'd be smoking weed. I don't know. Maybe I'll smoke some weed.
Oh.
So then I started smoking some weed and hanging out with all these straight laced, like, well, they weren't straight laced, but they got straight
Straight-laced
A's.
blunts.
They got straight
You know,
A's.
like straight laced blunts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm going to clean up my act. I'm just going to hang out with all the white kids and, like, smoke blunts and get high and get straight A's and maybe
After
go
you-
to college.
Boom. After you talked a bunch of shit about white people, and look at that. They
I
were a good
know.
influence on you.
Well, I think I was a good influence on them, to be
Oh,
honest. Like,
okay.
I used to be the mediator at the parties when all the hood kids came
Okay.
through. I'd be like, bitch, I know you, but, like, you gotta go.
Mm.
And they'd be like, Felicia. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Like,
When you were
you just
telling
gotta
him,
go.
quick question, when you were telling him this, were you popping locking at the same time? You're like, hey, but by the way,
I actually was only really good at power moves, so I could do like flares and windmills and like daisy
Okay.
kicks.
Can you
and
still do any of
pop
that?
rock? I can, but not in white pants.
oh, we did bring
Or I didn't bring my Adidas.
some Adidas and some Adidas
No,
striped
you
pants.
did not.
We have backups.
Did you bring any Jenkos? Because
That's
that'd
what
be
you
the
did.
jam.
That's what you wore when you did them.
I just saw an ad for Jenkos on Instagram. I thought it was fake news.
It's real.
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
It's real.
I took a screenshot and sent it to my girls.
But yeah, so you got influenced by some white guys to go to school and be a good person and
Yeah.
smoke weed,
Because
and then
I did well.
and then how did this bring you to San Francisco? I'm confused.
Because all the white kids would be like, let's go to San Francisco for spring break. And I'd be like,
Why do they sound
"Cool."
like that?
Because that's how.
But were these guys or girls?
Both.
And they both sounded like that.
Yeah. You guys don't know about the white girl shoulder dance, do you?
White girl shoulder dance.
no.
No.
Shout out to Alicia Haynes. She's my best friend. But
You gotta move.
most white girls do this. You're not filming, but it's like. They don't move their hips and they just do this.
The shoulder roll, like they just
No,
like.
it's called the white girl shoulder dance.
Okay.
I cannot emphasize that enough.
Is this a Santa Fe thing?
No, all white girls, all white boys do it.
We don't like to lump
Everywhere.
people into groups in this on this podcast.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
I've
it's
done that
America,
dance.
and there's a lot of white people, so they are all lumped into one place. It's
We're
called
all-
the United States of America.
It's one race, Felicia. The human race. Thank you very much. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
So these people, they were like, we want to go to the club in San
We
Francisco.
would just always come to.
It's not
for
like it's a short drive.
Spring. Oh no, we would fucking drive 18 hours every spring break and get hella lit out here because a bunch of
Why?
our friends moved here and went to art school.
Oh, I see.
So we come to like
I was gonna
spring
say,
break for the art people.
you guys are like, let's go to spring break where it's cold and windy and
Dude, we had
and
so much fun.
foggy.
And my best friend lived above a bar, an Irish bar on Haight.
Mhm.
Haight, like really near the Golden Gate. So Haight and Ashbury, somewhere on that end. What is that end? Is that the north?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or upper.
I never get
Either
it
way,
right.
they're both right. Upper Haight, northern
Yeah.
part of Haight. They're both correct.
So we would just drive down and get crazy for a week and then go back home. But eventually what happened is I had traveled.
And how old were you at this time?
It was all through college, so 18 to like 24. But I had been traveling a lot, and my plan was to move to Bali and teach art, and I got really scared, and I had been coming here a lot and was dating someone who lived in Oakland at the time, so I was like, maybe I'll just try out the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Bay, so I was like, fuck it, let's do
Yeah, hell yeah.
it.
Nice.
So I made the jump, and I'm still here.
Did you get an arts degree in college?
I did. I had a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the University of New Mexico, which is not the best school, but
And
I
you-
had scholarships to go other places and things, but I traveled to Bali for like 3 months right after college, and I had like saved up all my Social Security and all this money.
Nice.
And
Social Security.
yeah, my mom died when I was 10.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I saved
Sorry
up all
for
this money.
Continually bringing that back up.
Oh no, it's okay. She's a beautiful woman. It's
Right.
been over 30 years. I'm over it. Life goes on. But yes, BFA, minor in anthropology. Basically got paid to go to school though. I was
That's
lucky.
awesome. Yeah.
Because
That's cool.
in New Mexico, if you are a local, it doesn't matter if you're like bloodline or anything. If you graduate from a state high school and you get like a Bridge to Success scholarship, and you can go to like any sort of public university, major university, whatever, and you get 6 months of like kind of like a probation, and they pay like half your tuition.
That's cool.
And then if you pass that, then they'll give you 5 years as long as you are
Continually
obviously
going to
doing
school.
good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good thing you got involved with those white people at the time.
No, that's actually interesting that you say that, because it's actually because of the Native American reservations and because they allowed casinos on the res. And so the casinos don't have to pay a certain tax because of the sovereign nation thing, but the United States does, so that tax is going towards a school fund for federal grants for kids. So
Later in your life, did you like kind of like embrace your Native American culture? Like, did you go back and like revisit and like learn about it and kind of absorb all that shit?
That is
Not shit,
honestly
but
the
stuff.
basis of what I do now, because it's really kind of hilarious, because I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably 2013. Irene had this show called Wonderland. I'm sure you guys were in it. It was like, what does Wonderland mean to you?
Oh, yeah.
And I did this one painting, and that was back when I was still messing around with the resin and the collage stuff. And it was a really fucking odd painting. I was like, whatever. But it sold, and the best thing about it, now that it's sold and is gone, and I've kind of streamlined and found what I'm painting, there was like a moment of all of that years before just experimenting and everything kind of coming full circle. And I think there was a lot of nostalgia of like moving here, having no friends, being very alone, and then missing home and going home, and always wanting to incorporate my culture into my art, but not really knowing how, because I didn't grow up on a reservation.
Right.
I'm not close with my family. Like, I barely know them.
Right.
And it just kind of fruitioned after that one show that she said, "What is Wonderland?"
You just kind of had like a breakthrough of like,
yeah,
that's cool.
It has very much changed. It was
Right.
like bright and collage and resin to dark to like now they super pastel colors and things. But even when I look back on the work that I did in college, where I felt forced to do certain things, I still see all of that in my art.
Leaving college, did you know that you wanted to be a fine artist, or were you hoping to get a job like illustrating or like an art job?
No.
You knew you wanted to do just fine art full
Well,
time.
I tried a little bit to get like an art job when I moved here.
Quotations for all you that are listening.
Yeah.
Like graphic design or like...
There were finger quotations.
Not graphic design, but like I honestly wanted to go into like curating and maybe like do like I would have rather. I saved up 10 G's in a couple years so that I could start a gallery.
Oh, okay.
After like 3 years of living here.
Right.
But then that's when the fucking market went crazy, and I was like, okay, I'm not spending my 10 G's on some shitty gallery that's going to close tomorrow.
Right.
And so I've just been stacking up bank for retirement now, and I don't know when that's going to happen because I'm only 32.
Right.
But
yeah, that's one thing I will like I also really respect about you. I remember I mentioned it in one of the last podcasts that like you're just a hustler. Like you really like take the business of your artwork seriously. You know, you seem like you are very smart with how you spend your money as an artist. Like you have to like definitely, you know, like have low cost as you can potentially find. And
Right.
and I think that's like one thing that's great about you is you you've definitely I respect that about you. I think there's some artists that are like not thinking that way. I mean, I definitely think that way, and MJ does as well. But there's definitely artists I've met who are kind of like not even planning to like,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, that's the thing is that I think because I've lived on my own so long, I've been so independent that like me still managing my time between being an artist and also having a second job, which sucks, which I know you guys have.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can bartend 3 days a week and make like $3,000 a month, like just, and I work 3 days a week.
Right.
My rent's $560. I'm like, fuck it, this shit's cheap.
In the Bay Area, that's
I got
crazy.
This. But it does tarnish your soul a little bit. You want to be done. You don't want to be 45 still doing that shit and trying to make art.
Yeah, for sure.
But it allows a lot of flexibility. No diss to nobody.
Yeah.
But there's a flexibility about it. You know, like I don't want a 9 to 5 teaching some job that like to people I just don't care about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So there's a level of just, I feel like if I did just art full time, I might get a little depressed. Because I'm one of those people when I paint, like I'm all in. Like I can't hear anything. Like I jam a lot of really weird music that I just randomly find. And then sometimes when it comes on and people are at the house, I'm like, turn it off. Because I'm like, no.
What kind of music?
I don't know. I just like, I don't. Like, it's just there. It's like...
Just like clowns laughing.
Yeah. Are you making fun of my laugh right now?
I wasn't, but yeah, sure.
So if you had the choice, you would still not want to do art full time?
That's not necessarily true, but I think in my nature of my childhood and the way I grew up and not having any support, like, I get really guilty about not doing art when I have allotted time. So Tuesday through Thursdays and Sundays are my days to do art. And if I flake,
like today,
I get depressed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like, okay, I have this time to do the thing that I love the most, and it makes me feel so fulfilled.
Right.
And then I'm playing a monkey all those other 3 days a week at this shitty job that I fucking hate. Mainly because my owner who works there is a whore. But
well, everyone
we can't say her name.
Well, everyone in Santa Fe, right, calls each other that, so it's not that big of a deal.
Technically, my ex says I'm trying to say you're a horrible person. That's what he used to say. He'd be like, she just means you're horrible. I was like, bitch, no, whore. Edit that out.
This is gonna be a fun
edit
podcast to edit. No, I'm not editing that out. I'm like you guys can't tell, but my hands are moving like crazy because because Felicia is her head is swaying back and forth, and I'm like, put your head back on the mic. I'm like, oh, my hands are just like largest thing.
All your hands?
Yeah.
How many hands you got, Josh?
5. No brag. All right. Well, we gotta take a pee break. We'll be back.
That was funny though, but I think we should get a little more serious. Okay.
Pause.
Just be regular. Okay,
right.
I want to talk about that. That's my new hashtag. It's called "Bitch Be Regular."
I bet there's someone who's already done it.
Nope, because
let me check right now.
Do not Wikipedia or do Urban Dictionary.
Also, welcome back, guys.
Do not be a millennial.
We had to take a break so I could scold Felicia about her head movement on the mic. You know your headphones are one of them.
Upside down.
Yeah, you have to flip that one. There you go. Boom. Hell yeah. Felicia might have drank a little too much.
Okay, this is not judgment
This is
day,
intervention.
Okay? This is, all right.
This is intervention time.
You know what? We're all going to hell in a handbasket, so don't fuck your couch.
What?
Or mine.
Wouldn't it be the opposite? Wouldn't it be like we're all going to hell in a handbasket, so might as well fuck your couch? I mean, I feel like that's...
I don't know. My dad always said when I'd ask him after church where we were going, he'd be like, to hell if we don't get our hearts right.
Was your dad super religious?
He was. We were
Mine
like
too.
highly evangelical. Like
High
I used
five.
to knock on people's doors at like 8 years old and be like, "You're going to hell."
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad would make us. We were the kids
No,
that would like hold up.
Did you ever have the little like comic strips that had all these horrible stories?
The
about...
tracks. They call them tracks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My
Dude.
dad used to make us hand those out. But we also
What?
we
But
also
you're Tongan.
yeah. My dad's white. My mom's talking. My dad's white. But my mom's the one that told my dad about Jesus.
Oh no.
But my dad, we were the kids that would hold the signs that said like God hates gays or not. God hates. We didn't do the gays. We did the abortion one.
Yeah,
I know,
the abortion stuff.
It was really
We
bad.
were like God hates abortion.
I used
like
to stand on the streets and literally tell people you're going to hell when I was
Yeah.
8 years old. I'm like, you're going to hell.
it's crazy, huh?
It was really embarrassing.
And now you're still super religious, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about Jesus.
My heart is made of gold, and
You were drinking the wine because you
the
were
light
just you
of
just
the
do
world is here.
yeah you just do communion all day long.
Yeah,
You're just
communion.
He's like, I need to drink this wine. I need to remember.
These 4 crosses, champagne. I don't think that he made wine. He made champagne.
Who God?
Champagne is for Sundays.
Oh,
so.
okay, that's the first miracle
Yeah,
when God turned water into champagne.
yeah, for Sundays.
And then he made
just for brunch.
And then I think
Just for us white people, we be like, let's go to brunch.
yeah, he was like, God Godeth madeth water
Rosé
into wine
and
into
blueberries.
champagneth, and then made it raineth on them hoeth. That's in the Bible for sure.
Oh no.
But yeah, I don't know where the hell we left off. I think
Okay, so let's at least talk about
About-
paintings.
okay. Oh, what paintings? Your paintings?
Any paintings.
Yeah, I was gonna. I totally forgot to talk to you about that. I was thinking the painting we should talk about yours, which only just because it's like in my recent memory of like my favorite painting of yours was that one you did on a record. I was like really into that one. I don't know if you liked it or not.
Oh,
like a
the Georgia
skull?
O'Keeffe.
Is that what that was?
Was that what that was?
So I originally was going to paint the painting.
This one?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
into that one a lot.
I was originally going to do a hyperrealism painting of Georgia O'Keeffe where she's holding a skull and her, Ansel Adams was one of her lovers, and so people took a lot of really amazing photos of her in her youth, and she was just such a...
Wait, was Georgia O'Keeffe young at one point in her life? Sorry, bad
I mean,
joke.
she died a long time ago, bitch. Chill out.
I'm just making fun of the fact that
Anywho,
she...
I mean, she was just basically grew up in an era where, like, honestly, she had some style. Come on.
Well, no,
would rock
I got
that
no
shit.
beef with Georgia O'Keeffe. I actually think it's
Okay.
cool that she was like... I feel like she like made her mark like when she was
made her
older.
mark when she decided to fucking leave her shitty ass husband and move to Santa Fe.
What was wrong with that
and
guy?
become an artist and just kill it in
Yeah.
the like early 20s when you couldn't hang out
Mm-hmm.
and be alone as a woman, and was like, I'm leaving. Went and bought some land,
Yeah.
middle of fucking nowhere, got inspired, made a name, Ansel Adams.
Painted
all
some
these,
vagina flowers.
This is
all
a cool
these
one.
people came to see her work.
That is cool.
Got
Got
and
that
so
armpit
that
hair.
painting in particular, I decided to not donate it. What do you call it? What's the right word?
Dedicate.
Dedicate this painting towards her, and it was. She was holding the skull, but the painting was so old that the photograph is so bad and online that I was just like having a really hard time, trying to get everything anatomically correct.
Abominably.
So I went against it, and then I did this skull that she had. It was the skull, and then I had her hat, which she wore that like weird prairie black hat with the little straps.
Right.
And then all the flowers are different flowers that she painted. I didn't make them hypersexual because I was like, doesn't really need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly hated the painting, and I almost threw it away and started over. And Monty was like, don't do it. It's coming along. It's going to be fine. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I really like that piece.
And it sold before the show, which
This
was
one did?
really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
This random fool bought it, and he's
A
dope.
fool.
He's dope.
Okay.
I'm going to hashtag dope. You dope if you hear this podcast. Sorry, fool. But yeah, we're gonna do a commission,
Nice.
and he has a podcast, and he wants me to be on
what the
that.
fuck?
I know.
No, you can. I didn't know that. Sorry, this podcast has
so-
to end. Pause this, bitch. Sorry,
All
guys.
right, so you didn't have me sign a contract.
It was a verbal agreement that I did in my mind with you, where I said, everyone on my podcast cannot ever be on another podcast. It's a rule. It's kind of like bro code.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, us girls know what that means.
Not cool, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh,
So.
Okay.
Do your paintings have a lot of meaning to them? Like, I think this is like a topic of discussion that keeps on coming
How
up.
dare you?
But it's like, it seems like it just because, it's kind of folklorish, but is it something that that has a lot of thought and process into it, or is it something you do for aesthetics?
There is nothing really aesthetic about my paintings.
What? Yes, there is. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying that maybe they're not pleasing to look at, but that is not my going to when I make art.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I have an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, it is very central to like heritage. So
Right.
I do a little bit of investigation. I
Mhm.
get ideas. I have like this whole process
Right.
of like research, but I don't really have like, I just have like a really vague idea of what I want.
But like the aesthetic of all your paintings are similar, which means
Which
to
is
me,
because that's inheritant. Because that's who I am, and that's what I mean, it's naturally like if you
Right.
have a color palette
Right.
or you have something that you're inspired by, it just feeds that energy.
Right. Well,
At
I mean,
least
that's
for
just
me.
kind of the same thing.
Unless you want to experiment and do weird shit, which I tend occasionally, yes, over the years my work has changed.
So is there a big conceptual part to your artwork? Like, do you have a concept behind the painting, or?
Well, everything adds up.
Yeah.
It does.
Mm.
But I'm one of those people, like I said, I don't sketch. So I just, if I'm going to do a coyote, edit that out, please.
No.
If I'm doing a coyote and I have this idea of the coyote, I'm just going to paint the coyote.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I get the main image down, and then I just ramble on.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the palette is natural. You guys have a palette. Both of you guys have a look and a style and, aesthetic.
No, we don't pursue aesthetics. We're super cool. Or if you pursue an aesthetic, are you lame? Just so I can know if I do it or not.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question
With a question?
real
Okay.
and say, yes, we all have an aesthetic.
Boom.
Okay?
Gotcha. You just fell into my trap.
I know, but I
just
know
kidding.
that. But the thing
I was
is
just
I
kidding.
think about like art and the way that certain artists works,
Mm-hmm.
like where they mix paint and they have everything set up and everything is go, and I don't have a go process.
Right.
Mm. Do you ever
I'm just-
go?
I'm just dipping and like putting little dots of paint everywhere and be like, which, oh.
Well, I think that's what everyone does, though.
No, a lot of people fucking make their own little palettes of
Well,
these colors and save them.
I don't save them, but I mix my paints at like I'll mix my paint for the painting I'm working on, and then I'll like veer like the basic like few colors, and then from there you just like stretch out and
But have you ever done that thing where one time you didn't mix enough and you decided to stop, and then next time you go around, you're like, fuck, that's not the right color.
I feel like
It's like kind of close. It's like kind of,
Yeah.
it's just a little off.
I'm happy with kind of close.
Yeah, I don't worry about that
For the
too
most
much.
part. I tried to like certain things.
But with oil's so much more forgivable than gouache. Gouache, because gouache is like watercolor, but it's opaque, and if you don't gesso the wood, which I don't, you have to
I didn't realize you work with gouache.
yeah, it's all
that
gouache.
makes sense.
Yeah,
the colors are so vibrant.
Yeah, and I really like how I like gouache. I haven't been able to experiment with it much, but I love how it looks. I love the matte finish to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing about gouache is that it's almost as forgiving as working with oil paint.
Well, you
I
just said
I-
the opposite.
No, it isn't. It just depends on the wood, because like I don't gesso my wood.
Well, why don't you gesso your wood?
Because I don't like the way that it looks.
Why don't you because I gesso my wood and then I just like sand it down a bit.
I don't like it.
What don't
There's
you like?
still grain.
No.
Yes, there is. I've done it with clear gesso,
Yeah,
and it still has texture, and I don't like the
but
texture.
I like knock that down a little bit. I sand it down.
There's this
Well,
art.
I know how to sand it down, but I'm saying I don't like the texture.
There's no
still texture.
No.
Josh, I've seen it on your work in particular, but
Yeah, not on my
not
work.
on yours. So
Yeah.
much.
Correct. So there's no
But
texture.
I also don't varnish my paintings because I don't work with oil, and I don't like the sheen. That's why I work with gouache, because I
Right.
like the matte finish.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like when you paint straight black out of that tube, it looks like velvet. It's amazing. You're like, why
Yeah,
is it
gouache
void?
is cool. I need to
It's
mess
so
around with
good.
it. It's
Yeah.
so fucking cool looking. It really is, and the colors are just so. I think
Yeah,
they're like
void of like.
bullshit.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a little clap. Actually, I'm the only one clapping.
No, there's someone else in the world clapping. Not for this moment, but they're clapping. We'll just absorb their claps. Oh, let's go back to this painting. This painting is specifically.
Not the small specific.
I was like really into the palette choices you made in this one.
Which one? I have to see.
The record one.
The record one.
Oh,
The record one. And the one thing about that is that now that I know that you don't really choose your palette, you just play around. Now I just think you got lucky. I'm just kidding. I'm just
throwing
fucking with you.
shade. Throwing shade.
I'm just kidding. I was like, wow, genius palette choices. Now,
To be honest, I almost nixed-nayed that painting and started over, and I think I might have already said this. I told Monty, I was like, dude, I got like 4 days, and this painting is horrible. I can't do it. I hate it.
what did Monty say? Because we haven't heard this story before.
He was like, bitch, be regular. Get it together. It's fine.
Okay.
I like skulls. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
not helping.
Yeah, we've never heard this story before.
Oh,
so thank
well,
you.
Yeah.
You used to. I remember when I first saw your work, you used to paint a lot more figures, and they were very stylized, like very illustrative, kind of just like almost like Picasso-y, where it's like they had just like a weird profile, but the bodies would be like facing forward. I don't see it as much. You still paint some figures. Is there a reason why you don't do that anymore?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I decided at one point to. I had been trying to branch out from the figures a little bit, because I just felt like, I don't know, I either wanted to go like straight illustrative abstract a little bit and like have like a pattern, like a sort of textile, and I wanted to incorporate like I wanted a variety of things. Like you could have the women profiles, you could have this sort of textile, these animal figures, and it took me like a while to figure that out. But once I did, that's when I just started selling paintings. And I was like, all right, I got...
Once you got away from doing the figures?
Not just the figures, but like branching out. Like I had a solo show and I did about like 10 really small paintings that were all like kind of abstract animals, like how I do.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one that got bought was by a dude.
Fucking men, am I right?
And I was like, okay, you were afraid to buy a picture of a woman because I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Because she broke
Maybe
his heart.
Yeah, exactly.
She took everything.
Well, Elena always says that to us, that she's always like pushing the fact that it's hard to sell like figurative work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard for people to commit to having a painting of someone's face on their wall of a stranger who they have no connection to.
No, it's true. It is true.
Yeah,
But
makes
that's
sense.
what I like though. Like,
I know, me too.
So that's why I
But
just don't understand it,
Right,
because
right.
if I am drawn to a painting, it's not necessarily who the person is or the model. It's how
Right.
the artist saw that person.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So it's like I don't
Yeah.
understand when people say that it's hard for them to buy figurative work.
Yeah, I mean, some people, it's hard for them to empathize with other people.
It is
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah, that's very true, MJ. Yeah. And it's hard to see how other people might perceive art. That's true. I'm much better at it, though. So, no big deal. Just a quick little brag. But yeah, it was funny you bring up Picasso because we brought up Picasso the last podcast,
Really? Oh, no.
and I talked a little bit of shit, and then recently on our Waiting to Dry Instagram,
You got some hate. You got some shade.
no, there was like a little bit of a debate.
Was it more
Little bit.
shade than Monty's, or was it?
No
like-
one was mad at it. I think everyone that watches or listens to our podcast,
I
doesn't
mean,
really-
Monty got some hate mail on his shit.
he'll survive.
Well, duh.
Monty's got rhino skin. He's like,
He's from Bakersfield. You better
Yeah.
not edit that out, except for like the high pitched laugh.
I'm not editing anything out, Felicia. Stop telling me do or do not. And this whole entire podcast is just gonna be you be like, edit it out. Don't edit. Edit.
Well-
Don't edit.
Keep that one. Keep it.
Keep-
Keep it.
Keep
Donate it. Donate it.
Keep that part. You know what? Second thought. Take that part out. Can you edit out where I said edit it out, but then put in this edit out?
It's gotta be like wicka wicka wicka.
But I was because the guy he was saying he was well. First off, we were talking about the last podcast. We talked about how like I realized that Picasso. I was told that he painted like a super realistic, but decided not to, and then I learned later on from Google that that's kind of not true.
Wait, did you say Googaloo?
Googaloo, yeah. I learned from I Googalooed it.
You Googaloo.
And then I looked at his paintings, like he didn't paint super realistic. I brought that up and said like, oh, does that like take away from the fact? Does that change the argument? Like that point of view of like he decided to paint this way, which was like I feel like it's like a selling point to the genius of Picasso. It's not every point, but it's one of the reasons why people consider him a genius. And then so one of the listeners, he commented and said like, oh, like I appreciate that more because he went with with his skills and his talents. And then he compared him to Muggsy Bogues, which I don't know if you know who that is, but he was like a short NBA basketball player who could like dunk.
Yeah.
And he was like very short. And he made it work. And then Leon came back at him with, I don't know, some other. I know Muggsy Bogues only because he was a short NBA player. That's as far as like my NBA knowledge goes.
Warriors.
But and then so I started thinking of who I think Picasso could be compared to, like, of modern day people, and I thought of like Kanye West, because Kanye West, he's like
I'm shaking my head right now because this is
SMH.
Kanye West.
wait,
Come
hear
on.
it out.
Come on.
Hear it out real quick, because the more I think about it, the more I think it's like spot on, because Kanye West isn't the best rapper, right?
Duh.
But he is successful consistently in the music industry,
Not anymore.
politics aside, and he's controversial and he's experimental, And by doing all that, he kind of puts himself in this arena of being discussed with the greats, as like being a part of the greats, even though technical wise, he's not on the level of like the people that are like
fuck Taylor Swift.
that are like lyricists. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
and Picasso's kind of the same as like he's not technically the best, but he gets put in that arena because of other reasons. You know, like Kanye West was experimental with like what he does, and he's always got like he's always like on the forefront of where the sound is in that genre of music.
Sounds like you're a big Kanye wife.
I actually don't hate Kanye West. I mean, and
I said Kanye way.
I don't hate him. I think he's like a crazy person, an egomaniac, and all that other thing.
He's an entrepreneur.
But I actually don't mind his music. I'm probably one of the few. Just like, but it made me think in comparison to Picasso, because if someone tells me they hate Kanye West, I don't go and say like, well, you just don't understand it, or like, you know, or like you don't fucking like. And that's kind of the idea I feel like Picasso has. Like, I don't like Picasso, but in some ways people, I feel like there's this weird pressure for you to like be in the know or like his stuff.
No, that is one of the qualms that I had in art school that pissed me off the most. And I might have already said this, but I'm going to say it again. I had a teacher that told me that I had to do political art.
MJ went to the same thing.
And I didn't even go to like a high-end fucking art school.
Right.
I got paid to go to
school. Well, that's why you were told that.
Yeah.
Bitch, be regular. You didn't even go to art school.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is MJ, when she went to art school, she didn't go to like official art school thing.
I know, but I'm just saying like the idea of someone telling me to be political and I'm like 18 years old and I've lived on my own, I'm barely allowed to vote. I'm like, how the hell are you telling me to fucking speak up?
Have an opinion, yeah.
I have a really hard life as it is, and now you're telling me that everything that I have to do and dictate and show the world has to say so much about me.
Yeah.
Right. Not only about you, but about the politics about you.
Yeah.
So like the fact that electing these like random rich people that have no actual connection to you is you know, it's like I understand politics is more than just like the people that are like you elect, but that like that really is what it is. It's hiring the people that you want to write the laws that represent who you are and what you want done in your, you know, with your community, with your fucking country, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that someone that's like, you know, didn't grow up in a wealthy community or something like that, and you're supposed to somehow associate yourself with these wealthy people who you have to elect, who are supposed to be able to empathize with your struggles, and then you have to go and you take your passion in life and then say like, all right, I'm passionate about art, and now I have to like make it about these fucks who already have enough attention towards them. Like that makes no sense to me. Like,
no, that's why I honestly. So I was thinking about going from art, like I was obviously a BFA, but I wanted to like maybe do anthropology. I was like, because anthropology at the state school that I went to was like big. Like you could get some jobs, like you could make money, and I was like, all right,
moving up from IHOP.
I was like, I'm not gonna be a lawyer, I'm not gonna work at IHOP anymore. I'm not gonna fucking be a cocktail waitress and kick people in the legs because they're big and won't move out my way.
You're not gonna become keep going with the jobs. I'm not gonna be an airplane pilot.
I don't sell that weed no more.
But what happened with that?
So when the teacher told me to be political, I decided to fucking go crazy and just do abstract. I was like, nope. I went real small. I would just get high on letters and just like mix fucking, what do you call that? Instant coffee, the crystal ones, the Folgers that were crystals.
Meth.
I just
was
mixing coffee and dripping paint from like 15, 20 foot ladder and like doing, I actually have some really cool paintings. I think if I'd stayed on that route, I might have like Something might have happened.
You could.
Like the
You
shit
could have
I'm
been a
doing
contender.
now, I'd be like art market 2018 for Mason.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I do know what that means, but
You know
I
what
don't
that
know.
means? I'd be like, I'd be showing it for Mason right
Who cares?
now.
I mean,
Or I'd be swimming in the water. I
I'm
don't
sure.
know.
I'm sure there's some people at Fort Mason art, whatever, that aren't
Making any money.
making much money. Yeah.
Well, you two are making money. So.
Yeah. Well, I had an art teacher, so yeah, like Josh was saying, I had like a really similar situation, but this was at the junior college in Santa Rosa, and I was just taking like an art class because it was like the first art classes that I had access to, and I think I was like the same age, like 18 or 19, and I had decided I wanted to start working on like a body of work. And I made, I think, like 6 paintings, and I was super excited about them. It was like my first like body of work. So I went to the only art teacher I had at the time and showed him all of my paintings. And then he's like, yeah, they're fine, but what do they mean? Like, what is it saying about our government? What is the politics? And then it was just like the same type of thing. Like, he made me feel like shit
Yeah.
that I was
Asshole.
painting nonsense because I was painting what I paint now, just like obviously not at the level,
Yeah.
but it was like I was painting figurative stuff with like magical elements or whatever because it's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like, well, look at my stuff, and then he would go and show me what he was working
Yeah.
on in his sketchbook. It's like, this is what you got to do. I'm like, so I have to paint
Right.
like you.
I actually
Which is stupid as
that
fuck.
is
Yeah.
fucking whack, and I have a really, really shitty story to top that.
Ooh,
After.
one upper.
So
I like it.
no, it's actually not a one upper. It's horrible.
2 upper.
So I was my last year in college. I decided to take this sculpture class. It's Barry something. This asshole.
McGee.
Barry McGee, we'll call him.
No, don't call him that. That's my favorite artist.
So he was a dick. I should have taken ceramics or something else, but I decided to try sculpture. I was like,
Ugh.
but I had never really done 2D, like 3D art, so it was bad. I was using like a bandsaw, and I was always high, and I was like, this is dangerous. But once I learned I could weld,
Uh-huh.
I just threw off the glasses and put on the goggles and was like, let's do this.
You
It
threw
was
off the
awesome.
glasses and
Yeah.
put on the goggles.
And I made a beautiful hummingbird out of steel.
Glorious.
Steel. It was glorious. The Buddha that I did with the bandsaw was not so great.
Okay.
Someone still has
Wait,
that.
you said you were going to one-up MJ's story, and so
right,
far,
about the
the teacher, the shitty
oh,
teacher.
the shitty teacher. He never offered advice. It was horrible.
So this shitty teacher,
Shitty teacher, Barry whatever.
Barry Buttface,
He would never give me any advice. I'm like, it's sculpture. I'm 22. I've never done 3D.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what kind of wood to choose. I don't know if I should be having sheet metal.
right?
Like, should I use like, they always looked at
Yeah.
like me when I was dumb. I'm like,
A
girl.
whoosy whatsy, a whatchamacallit.
I'd be like, this is a bandsaw. It could cut my finger in half, and you're not.
I mean, it would be
helping.
tough for a bandsaw.
I seen your woodshop video the other day. All that would be dangerous for me.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not-
I know MJ is getting
I
familiar.
don't try to have
No,
her touch any of
Yeah,
that.
he doesn't let me touch his tools.
She's
That's what
He won't
he
I'm saying.
he won't let you.
He won't let me.
no. I want her to keep her fingers.
Yes,
I'm very safe with my tools.
do. Okay.
But yeah,
Alright.
bandsaw would be tough though. Maybe lose
No.
a finger or 2, but not all of them.
No.
Your table saw is the one where you're gonna go, whoops, there goes them all.
I don't want to lose any fingers.
Yeah, me neither. I don't either. I mean, you just have to be smart and safe, and
I don't need my toes. I feel like that's.
yeah, for sure. Use the bandsaw with your toes. That would be. Wait,
Well,
so
I'm a foot model. Just so y'all know.
but I don't know how you one upped MJ. You promised us a one up story. So did the
know.
teacher cut you?
Yeah. Well, that was well for me. Like that teacher made me feel so shitty and so
Oh,
insecure.
that
I
we're
ended
talking
up-
about the insecure
Yeah.
asshole teachers. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
A lot.
And
Yeah.
mine ended like I didn't paint for like months.
Wait, this is what the thing he told us when I graduated. He looked at me and he said, and this is bullshit because he was only my teacher for one
What a
semester.
real
One
dickhead.
semester.
Very
whatever.
butt-face.
And you know what he said? Felicia, the world doesn't need another artist.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think you guys should do that in a little bit of like a.
We're not editing. We're not editing this shit.
You have to edit something.
None. We're not. Now that you've wanted us to edit and unedit it, I'm literally just putting the shit out raw. Even in the pee break we took when you said you had to take a fat poop,
I did not say that.
you said it, and then
No, I did not.
I know I made that up. But you can imagine if
You
it
better
did.
take that back.
The world doesn't
Take
need
it
any more
back.
art.
I'm just kidding, guys. Felicia never poops. She's never pooped in her life. Sorry. I fixed it, right? I fixed the mistake.
Fuck your couch.
And totally redeemed.
All right. Do you have any more serious questions?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Harry Potter?
I've only seen the one movie, period.
And what were your thoughts on that?
It was like how many years ago? 10 years ago?
Yeah. Was your mind blown?
Was I like 25?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember.
I'm just trying to start a beef, so
I watched Game of Thrones.
boom.
There you go.
I like
Nice.
Westworld. I haven't
Hell
started
yeah.
the new episode, but
Me
I'm
neither.
really stoked.
Is it out yet already?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, but we can't. We gotta wait until there's like 7 because you
Yeah.
binge watch and then you're like,
Yeah.
I turn into a White Walker.
I tried to convince MJ to watch Game of Thrones for years.
No, I waited off for like the whole time.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
just
best
watched.
way.
I binge watched
I'm
everything.
so jealous.
Last year when I got wisdom teeth pulled because I got what is it called? White socket or
Oh no, dry socket. I heard that was
I like to call it
horrible.
white socket.
Yeah, just
So
and,
I basically had to just drink smoothies and lose 20 pounds. And
I heard that
4
that was
months.
super.
No, I was bedridden. I couldn't I literally.
How long did that
I
last?
had to pay for like an $80 bottle of mouthwash. Luckily,
Oh,
AAA.
no.
Shout out to AAA.
Was it because you?
discount?
Was it because you were smoking though?
No, I didn't. I actually only started smoking cigarettes again after I got depressed last August.
Oh.
So I hadn't smoked cigarettes for like 8 years prior. So don't judge me on my cigarette consumption, okay?
cigarettes are bad, kids.
Do not smoke cigarettes.
But yeah, so yeah, whenever I talk to anyone about Game of Thrones, and like I've been sitting here like, don't watch it until like 2 months before the last season comes out,
Yeah.
and then just start it, and then
Yes, because it's so addicting.
and then you'll be able to get right into the last season.
It's so good.
I just get
It's the best.
very into
Yeah.
it, and then it's like it consumes me, and it affects
That-
my
I
mood.
know. It
That
does.
have you been
It
watching?
does.
Have you watched the show Fargo?
Yes, I got really into that one.
And then
Oh. And then they haven't made it anymore.
yeah, they just came out the last season not that long ago.
But you know, I got a little bit over after
Shit
the
is-
third.
I think the third is the last one.
I'm watching Bates Motel right now.
No
Ooh, I
care.
heard
I don't
about
know if
it. I
anybody
heard about
cares.
it. Never seen it.
The only thing that I don't understand is everyone wants the little boy, like the main
Hey,
little
you're
boy
telling
character.
a story about something no one's watched. So.
Yeah, or cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people care about it.
I
one
never
cares
heard.
about it.
I saw
I
it
never
on
heard about it. So we can't talk about it.
IMDb, it's like a 9 reading or something like that.
Yeah, from probably like 10 people.
All right, folks. I
Uh,
think we should have one more question.
one more question. Hey, you're not the. We have to
Dictator?
keep talking.
I'm not the dictator.
We have to keep
I
talking.
know. That's all you want to do is talk.
Talk. So, are you working on a show right now, Felicia?
Yes, I am working on 12 pieces. 11 that are going to be in a small solo show in Berkeley.
Nice.
At a place called Oxtail Studios.
Mm-hmm.
When is that?
I think it's going to be the second weekend in June because the group show at 111 Minna is on June 1st.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So I'm working on 12 paintings. I got 7 of them half painted started. I don't usually do that, but I don't got a lot of time.
Are you good at managing your time? Like, are you painting up to the last minute, or do you give yourself enough time?
Well, I just finished 7 outlines, and 4 of them I did in 3 days. Like full on, like I say I don't sketch, but like when I have an idea, I put it all down on the wood. So I do technically sketch. I just don't sketch prior to.
The good thing about this
things.
podcast is everyone will learn how much of a liar you are.
What are you talking about,
I'm just fucking
Josh?
with you, Felicia.
Oh my god. Life is too short.
To tell the truth. Just kidding.
Ooh.
Oh, what?
See, that Harry Potter beef is
Some
going down.
shade over here.
Also, your studio is at Fault Line, right?
I
Yeah.
want to see your studio. We want to because you're
what
with.
the fuck? You guys are like, I can come to Santa Rosa to your 90s party, but you can't come to Oakland and see my studio.
Who are your studio mates?
Wait,
There's
what
a
is
lot of
how is there a connection, by the way? We threw a big ass party.
And I drove all the way out there.
Uh-huh.
How is this microphone not like a bee? It can just follow me.
But yeah, we invited you to a party, right? You're saying why
Only
don't
once. And I went.
you? So
And
when we get a Facebook
get
invite to your
some-
studio,
We'll
we
go.
will go.
Oh, well, I never realized that because I'm not that in charge of the things there. But I'd assume, okay, I guess I'm also dropping the ball. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah, you're like, you invited me to the party. I went. I've never
The
invited you to my
one-time
studio.
party.
You're like, I've never invited you to my studio. How dare you not have come to my studio?
We drove past it one day. Then we were almost just gonna drop by because
Yeah.
the fault line space in Oakland. Because you guys have like a.
But what you
huge-
did, you were like, bye, Felicia. You
Yeah.
drove by it all.
Yeah, we just yelled out, Felicia!
I don't even remember
Shout
what we were
out.
doing in Oakland. But yeah, we saw that the fault line space was like huge right in front. It's like, we
It's
want to
really
go
big. Yeah.
check that out.
You guys should come. It's actually,
How do you
I
like
think
that
there's
spot?
I've been there 7 years.
Damn.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I didn't even know it was that long.
Yeah,
It's been up that long.
there was only about 5 of us when we first started, and then it's just a really, really, really large warehouse. So
Yeah.
they just keep adding more and more.
That's cool.
What do you call that?
Spaces? I don't know.
The walls that are made out of nothing.
False walls? I don't know.
No, it's like
Just like divisions.
Oh, cubicles or some shit? I don't know what you're talking
cubicles, but there's a word for it. It's not styrofoam.
And you-
Sheetrock.
And you guys host art shows
Oh
out there.
my god.
So they just keep building this huge warehouse.
I can't believe you were trying to think of sheetrock, which doesn't even apply to the thing you were describing.
Yeah, I was talking about how they keep making this warehouse
But you said-
bigger and bigger, and it's all just sheetrock.
But you said fake walls, but sheetrocks are like real walls.
No, they're not. It's like styrofoam and like foam cord.
We apologize. We drank too much.
Don't
Specific.
lie. It's sheet board. You are gonna seriously?
But yeah, that's cool.
I had it together, and
Is
then
it-
you hated it.
Is a fault line like
Luke
a
Skywalker on these haters.
is fault line like? Do you guys feel like a community in that?
Oh yeah, we love it. Everything's great.
How much drama is in there?
Nothing
Who-
really.
Who hates who? Just let
I
us
can't
know.
hate anymore because the haters that I hated on,
Mm-hmm.
they somehow vanished.
Ooh, you killed them.
Shapeshifter.
Holy
I
shit.
mean, I'm Native American. It might have been Houdini. It could have been a little bit of that ayahuasca that I've never tried.
You did some old fucking Native American shaman shit where
But
you
you-
just like,
I just rain danced.
You guys host shows there too,
Yeah,
correct?
we have shows there. We have a gallery. We have a gallery. It's pretty cute.
Mm.
We're working on it. Mario, Felicia, and Raul, who are all artists there, are really trying to make an effort to like bring in, because for years we kind of didn't, but now they're really trying to up it up.
That's good.
It's a hard area, you know. It's like a lot of, it's that toting that line between having friends that just come to your show who are artists,
Right.
who aren't going to buy art and who are going to party and have fun,
Right.
or having artists that are there that like have a separate community of people that are not artists and may or may not purchase art, but inviting them.
Yeah.
So I feel like for a long time, our community at that spot was like a lot of people who are just artist friends.
Yeah.
Right.
So no one's going to buy art. They're just going to trade or do whatever.
Right.
But more and more, I feel like they're venturing out, and a lot of these artists are they're finding their own niche to like bring in people who they randomly meet, and they'll buy the art.
That's cool.
Which is hard, I think, as an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the interesting about, I think you both work other jobs and don't do art full time, as do I not. And as do I not. And the substantial thing about it is that you meet people that they really want to talk to you. They want to hang out.
Yeah.
They want to come see what you're doing. And if you're willing to take a couple hours out of your day to just smooge and be the gallery owner, essentially,
Right.
you can fucking nail down some money. And I've done it. It's fun. I actually like it. Occasionally, it's a little disturbing because they can be weird, but you're like,
Right.
I got my homie here, I'll kick you out.
Right. No, but yeah, it's definitely something that I can see is beneficial if you have a gallery space. Like we have home studio, so it's very weird if like we're inviting random people to our house because
Right.
in Santa Rosa,
to your house for sure.
yeah,
I
in
get
Santa
that.
Rosa they have something called art trails with which Josh and I have been kind of going back and forth on the idea where it's almost like I think they do something similar here in the city where it's like a First Friday kind of thing,
Yeah.
but you get printed. First you have to pay to become a part of it, then you get printed in a magazine, and then people go. It's like a thing that people in our area
Yeah.
do and go to all these people's studios to check out their art studios.
Yeah.
But the difference is that it's our home.
Right.
So it's
No,
kind
you
of
got it.
difficult.
Yeah. No, and I get that. That definitely seems like you don't want everyone to be obviously aware of where you're at.
Yeah. But it, like you said, it could be something that, like one of the ladies that kind of taught me how to paint makes her entire year salary off of that art show. So she's making all of her
Yeah.
money in that small period of
Yeah.
time
Right.
where it's like this art trails where people are going and showing up at her gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
Totally.
working all year towards that day.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, I think there's some logic to that because there are people that are pursuing, the people that are going to come to these studios are people that are trying to pursue art and want to kind of, in almost like experience art and where it's created. So they've got to have some sort of love for art and local art and.
Or
Yeah.
they're selfish weirdos who all they are trying to do is invest.
Ooh. Or they're
I'm just throwing some shade because I heard some bitches talking about this shit. Throwing some shade.
or they're murderers.
And they might fuck your couch.
But yeah, I think we're probably gonna wrap up soon.
All right. Any more questions about my painting? At
Yeah.
all?
I'm interested in are you still doing those jackets?
Yeah.
Because is that something that is pretty lucrative to you?
It is lucrative. Very lucrative.
What are you talking about?
She paints original paintings
Oh,
on
yeah.
like, and Felicia does the Native American.
Is that a
art fair.
callback to your like b-boy days? Because I know a lot of like b-boys and girls
Named Felicia?
would paint have like fully painted jean jackets.
Jackets, yeah.
Not necessarily. No.
I didn't.
But maybe
I didn't make the
subconsciously.
connection.
Are you still doing that fair, that Santa Fe Fair, New Mexico Fair every year?
I have a solo show in June, and then I'm doing a Renee's 111 minute, and then I have the big art market in August, and then I have a show where I'm doing 3 skateboards in Arizona at a museum.
Do you
Nice.
paint pretty fast? Because that's like, if
No.
I were, like, if
No,
I had
I'm
all that
fucked.
stuff set up
I'm
and one
trying
right
to
after
finish
another.
12 paintings by May 27th, and then do the art market.
Yeah.
And then 3 more skateboards, and try to do 5 jackets in between. Like, life is rough. I'm freaking out, actually.
Yeah.
Well, just get drunk and
I just want to let you know. Monty told me to tell you, bitch, be regular.
Monty would never say that about me. But
I'm just projecting.
yeah. I don't know. Are you working on anything, MJ?
Well, I have the Minute Gallery show as well, and then we have we just got into that Lunarien show.
Oh, yeah.
So we
When
just
is this?
have
I just heard about this.
The 10 by 10?
Matt is going to be in it too?
Matt.
You know what's funny is
Matt?
I my like mission this year was to not do that many shows.
Yeah.
It's like to paint as little paintings as possible, just try to take my time. And I got drunk at the opening for our show with Wonderland.
And
And
signed
then
ourselves
we went
up.
to like an after party at Lunarien. And then she was,
Was I there?
you were half there.
Yeah.
You were half there. And then Olivia, she was like, you want to do it? And in my drunk mind, I was like, yeah, I could do it. And I'm like, fuck, why'd I commit to that? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
trying I'm trying to say no as much as possible.
And we just like got out of a show last week. We had this week to kind of get our house back in order, and now we have to like rush to get this
I
other.
stay there and help you clean up. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, we cleaned. It was just, we have like yard work
A
and other shit
lot.
like that to do.
Yeah.
Like, we cleaned the first, I think, 2 days.
Yeah.
We had it
Yeah.
back to normal.
But it's like, yeah, we get out of one show and then like get a week to try and get our lives back in order and then rush into other
Okay,
shows.
so
Yeah.
one last thing I'm going to say.
Okay.
What the fuck do curators call you like 2 weeks in advance and be like, can you pump out like 3 paintings?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
show's on the 1st. You're like,
Right.
Well, that's one of
it's
the...
the 22nd, bitch. Like, what do you...
Yeah. That's one of... Like,
That's my biggest queef.
yeah.
Curators probably.
Queef. Yeah,
Oh, I
correct.
was not going to say queef.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my biggest queef, too. But yeah, that's... There
I
is...
meant quam. Correction.
Yeah.
Quam.
Okay. We're all thinking what...
Well, my
We're all
biggest.
thinking the other word.
No, I know you.
We're all,
You guys.
we're all thinking queef.
Yeah, I think. We all got queef on the mind.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the issues with curators who've never painted,
Yeah.
because they just have no concept of like how long it takes to create art.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Well, it was like I've been having this conversation, but it's like it's just frustrating when people don't understand what goes into art. Because I
Yeah.
had somebody recently approach me, and this person has like a really big following and has a lot of money, blah blah blah. But she wanted me to basically do a painting for free because of who she is.
right.
Like,
So this
"Bitch,
is
be
really
regular."
frustrating. And not only that, but she's like, plus I need it in 3 weeks type of thing. And it's like, well, I have all this other shit going on. It's like, why did I need to stop this to paint something
Yeah.
for you just because of
Because
who you
have
are?
millions of followers and
Yeah,
whatever.
like that's
Yeah, it's stupid with like no potential like outcome for you other than
Yeah.
the fact like I was able to paint this for someone. Like, yeah, go
right.
fuck
just,
off.
Just kind of
Yeah.
like a story for myself. Like
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It was funny because yesterday we were talking to a friend of ours, and he owns a bakery, and he was saying that Natalie Portman had showed up and asked for. He's like, "Oh, I want to pay you to get all
Was she
these."
naturally in Portland?
What?
Do you get it?
No.
Yeah,
Naturally.
but it was a
She
bad
was
joke. Sorry, guys.
naturally
We apologize.
She was literally important.
Okay.
So he makes so
That was
his
brutal.
he makes a bunch of cupcakes and like desserts, and she showed up and wanted to purchase cupcakes, And then she's like, do you have any way that you can make all of these vegan? And he's like, bitch, I can give you some peanut butter and apples and call it a day. And she still, so he was like, absolutely not.
Vegan?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It's peanut butter, oil, and sugar.
Peanut butter vegan.
Where are they going to put this meat? Some kind of like animal
Dairy,
fat?
maybe. But yeah. I just thought that was awesome because it's like he didn't give a fuck, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna say no because I don't need that revenue, and I'm just gonna...
you're not important. Cool, you're just a human being.
Yeah, it's just like there's people who have this idea of grandeur and feel like they can get whatever they want,
and they probably can for the most part, But
are we still talking about art?
Yeah, of course we are.
Okay.
We're talking about creating and someone trying to take advantage of you because of their status in the world and thinking that they deserve free shit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, my celebrity I deserve free art.
But it's the same
shit.
idea as like galleries and curators not understanding what goes into artwork. They just
it's the same people that buy it though. Sometimes it's like these assholes that have never worked in a restaurant, and you start dating them and they're getting hooked up because you're like, I go to this bar and I know everybody. So they roll up and they're like, how much should I tip? I'm like, well, how much would you normally tip? It's not rocket science, motherfucker. Just fucking tip what you in regards to what you're getting hooked up on.
I'm confused on how this is applied to art.
It was applying to when people don't want to pay for what they get in terms of art.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, on a side note, I did have some weird shit happen to me at the art show.
Ooh.
I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I don't think I
did. One of the other artists in the show.
Okay, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Flipped out on me.
Wait, at our market?
No,
art
show.
No,
at the Wonderland show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the girl. We can't name her name because...
She who must not be named.
She who must not be named.
Yeah, but she was one of the other artists in the show.
Renee had all the hate. Monty got a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
She flicked me off, and then the next day she called me a pretentious cunt.
No, I didn't think you were going to say it because I was going to say it.
What?
I was going to say the pretentious cunt.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it. She called me a pretentious cunt on Instagram the next day.
I know. That is so fucked up.
And the only reason she was mad at me was because I was talking to another artist and we were like deep in conversation. And MJ tapped me on the shoulder and she was like, oh, this is the other artist, one of the other artists. And then she was like, oh, nice to meet you. Like really nice to meet you, blah, blah. And then I turned around and continued our conversation. And she thought it was like really rude that I did that.
Did you see all the hate she sent Renee though?
Yeah.
And the other guy, Jeremiah, was like, he sent Renee like a...
Yeah. And I heard some shit like, oh, she's got like some mental problems.
We shouldn't put that on the podcast.
She's got some problems and she's dealing with some hardship. But I don't know. I've dealt with plenty of hardship in my life.
Yeah, so have I. And I don't understand why people fucking
that's not,
cry.
You don't get to justify treating people shitty.
Oh, I agree.
Because you're going through some shit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like
occasionally you can project and
you can explode,
and then
but
you can
I was hearing
but...
there was like a lot of shit happening that night around that particular person, and I was like, God, that's fucking horrible.
I couldn't believe how much drama actually happened.
Yeah, so that was like a weird thing that happened at the show, but
I was told to be bitch be regular, and I just went regular.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It was funny too. It's funny too because MJ's like the one person that probably could like sympathize with her, because when I first met MJ, I did the same thing. Like MJ was like, "Oh, you're Josh Lloyd." I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Like, so good to meet you." And then I just was like, "Bye," because it's like at an art show usually, like at least for me, like talking to strangers is not like my forte, So when people like are trying to talk to me, I just have trouble doing that. Like I have to slowly get to know you before I feel like more comfortable with just talking to you in general. So
I'm the exact opposite.
so like meeting someone like and being like, oh, so nice to meet you, and like all right, bye is like my like go-to response to like most people, you know.
Yeah.
Mine is like, I'm standing behind and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm at the show. I'm like, who's your favorite artist?
Oh no.
I'm like creeping. I'm like, what's up? You know this bitch? And they're like, no. I'm like, what do you think?
Oh no.
I'm like baiting them.
You do not do this. Do you
Yes,
really
I
do this?
I
Oh,
do.
that's horrible.
And then I walk away. I don't even listen. I'm like, all right, bye. And then I go and I do my thing.
We can't hear
and
you.
Then I do my thing later and I come back and I'm like, so what do you think? It's like, well, you know. I'm like, bitch, really?
Are you doing this to your own paintings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what
you were
you're saying.
Oh, I thought she was saying to like other paintings.
No,
like you're
I would-
asking random people what you think of your painting,
While
but
they're
they don't know
looking
it's
at
your
her
painting.
painting.
No, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That people that are looking at your painting, you're asking what they
They're
think.
looking at my painting.
Yeah.
And I
That
like
is horrible,
bait 'em.
Felicia. Stop doing
And
that.
then I walk away and I never really come back. And then I see him again. They're like, you're the artist. I'm like, no.
That is horrific.
Yeah, I don't want to know what people
Don't
are
do
thinking about
that.
my paintings.
Why not? It boosts confidence.
With yourself?
Has it ever been negative though?
Would it boost your self-confidence?
I don't do that, but I don't know. I just
You just asked if it boosts mine, though.
I
I find it comedic, and I do get a little boost of self-esteem, but it's not like I'm gonna go out there and make a masterpiece. It's just
Right.
like that was funny.
okay. Well,
I'll
if you're doing
take
it for
it.
comedy reasons, I'll accept.
I only like comedy.
If you're trying to get a pat on the back, I don't know.
I don't get pats on the back.
You get
Only my great grandma. She's like, she's serious.
okay. I don't know what anyone's gonna think of this podcast. I hope the audio's okay. I literally
You best edit all bad stuff.
had to wrangle in
I feel like
Felicia every 5 seconds.
We should play a game, or we should have the audience play a game to see how many times Felicia said need to edit.
or yeah,
just
drinking
edit.
game.
So
Yeah, everyone drink when Felicia
first
says
things
edit.
First,
Yeah. Fuck your couch. That's
thank you for having me, and please don't make me sound that stupid.
Well, we're not gonna edit it.
And if you
so-
don't want to play it because I sound
I'm not
stupid,
a
I will
miracle
not be
worker.
offended. Okay,
I'm not. I can't work any miracles. I will
but you
just
promise if I sound stupid, you won't play
play. What you mean, like put it out there?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
This being said, this podcast is now over.
Fuck off.
Bye, guys. Thanks for
Sorry,
listening.
guys. I apologize.
MJ and
We'll
Josh.
see how this works out.
This might not.
We should stop day drinking on a Sunday. But yeah, this has been Waiting to Dry. I'm
Fuck
Josh
your
Lower.
couch.
That was Felicia Gabaldon. Is her last name.
It's Gabaldon.
That's what I said.
Alone.
MJ Lindo is the guest. Thank you so much, MJ, for being our
Thank you
guest
for being our
host.
moderator.
Yeah, this has been Waiting to Dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.
I think there's some good moments, right? Like, you guys don't think I'm a complete